Well, how about a Monday waiver wire show? That's right. It is the Audible Cecil, Lammey, Sigmund Bloom with waivers on Monday. Again, some little bit of a change to the Audible schedule this season. And Bloom's report, which is full, is going to be available later today, right? Bloom at footballguys.com.
Right, for subscribers. So the
Yes.
percentages you're used to, the order, the
Right.
comprehensiveness, that's all going to be at Football Guys for subscribers. But we're still checking in with our people because it's Monday, and the first thing on your mind on Monday is who's going to be on the waiver wire.
Who can I pick up for my fantasy team? And that's why we are here. We're going to start with quarterbacks. I'm going to start with Baker, the baby maker. Now, percentage wise, how much is he out there? Well, we know Baker's good. We know the offense is good around him. And again, I'll go into my Bucky Irving man love. Like, all right, more weapons around Baker is more good things for your fantasy team.
And Liam Cohen took this job so he could work with Baker Mayfield again. They work together with the Rams. Looks like they have excellent personnel. Jalen McMillan is going to be an outstanding number 3 wide receiver. Baker Mayfield, Matt Waldman even showing how, and Matt Waldman, not exactly the biggest Baker Mayfield defender, saying he's climbing the pocket. He's doing things that we haven't seen him do before. So Baker Mayfield is not going to add a lot as a runner, but if he's out there, and see, we can always talk about this with Waiver Wire show, where it's not just waiver wire. Okay, you're saying, well, I don't play in Yahoo public leagues. I don't play in ESPN public leagues. He's not out there, but it's still potentially a buy low because I think nobody expected this from him. And some of this is Washington. You're going to see if Danny Dimes and the Giants can bounce back this week. But some of this is Baker Mayfield actually good.
Baker Mayfield, good to go. So some of the other quarterbacks we'll talk about, like a Sam Darnold and stuff, Bloom,
Yeah.
they'll be out there as well.
Yeah, Sam Darnold, again, how much of it is the Giants? We'll see what Jaden Daniels does against the Giants in this must-see matchup. But Sam Darnold really took the foot off the gas, like you said in the recap show, Cease. Geno Smith might be out there. We see his running ability. We see that this offense is looking nice and balanced going up against New England. Justin Fields, we'll see if he gets another start against Denver. Malik Willis for going deeper, super flex leagues. And then, of course, we've got the watch is on for Jameis Winston. The watch is on for Mason Rudolph. And Cease, I wonder if by the end of the year, the watch will be on for Michael Penix.
Yes, it could possibly be. Honestly, my heart says we should have started with Jameis, but not yet,
Yeah.
not yet.
Well, see, to interject, some of that is on the couch kind of stuff. Psychologically, where's ownership, where's coaching in Cleveland and willing to say, okay, this isn't the answer, even though there's still a lot of money on the books. So it's not so much a football decision, but it's, can you come to grips with your mistakes? See, that's something I work on, don't do well with every day. I don't know. How do people live with making mistakes? Why should I play fantasy football if I can't live with mistakes? There are mistakes every single week.
Right. So you make mistakes in your fantasy team if you didn't pick up J.K. Dobbins. So let's transition to the running back position and talk about Dobbins and well everything he's going to do.
Well, not just the catastrophic knee injury, now coming back from an Achilles. Last year suffered in week 1 and looking good, maybe getting a little gassed on the long runs, but I think that we can see that he has edged, maybe more than edged, ahead of Gus Edwards, and it's against the Carolina Panthers this week. You're probably going to plug J.K. Dobbins right back in as a flex. You're going to want to get him in there because of how good he looked, because of how good this offense looked. And see, that's something I think we have to make sure to put in the spotlight for a second here. Jim Harbaugh has got buy-in from his guys. Probably one of the most underrated things. This is one of the things we talked about it on the recap show, seeing Jared Mayo get the Gatorade bath. That tells me there's buy-in there. Dan Campbell, buy-in. You got to get the players right, schemes, X's and O's, stuff like that. That's good, but it starts with buy-in. And the Chargers, I think we underestimate a little bit because that's how Jim Harbaugh turns these franchises, turns these college programs around so quickly. Is buy-in, is clarity of concepts, is clarity of how we win and how they're going to win. Well, for now, it's a lot of J.K. Dobbins.
Yeah, and I just wonder how behind the scenes guys go, look at Justin Herbert buying in, right? If he's bought
Yeah,
in, I'm going to be bought in because that's the guy that basically gets the ball taken away from him.
right, exactly, because it's not about me, it's about we.
It's about we in the backfield of Jacksonville, right?
Mhm.
And Tank Bigsby. Let's discuss a situation where Fantasy Jams could mine some gold.
Right. Another exceptional summer. A lot of buzz about him. Last year he was terrible. This year he was better than Travis Etienne. More dependable than Travis Etienne, maybe better ball security. So at a certain point, this is now a committee, and you wonder if Bigsby is going to edge ahead, even though Etienne is obviously the player who had more money, more draft picks invested in him. And I think this is one of those situations where usually as we're sifting through the week 2 waiver wire, we are just looking for players that are clear handcuffs. I'm sorry, I try not to use the term injury upside backups in these backfields that we know have some upside. In Bigsby's case, we saw him as, hey, can he go out and show out in week 1 so that we know he's a solid injury upside backup? He's more than that. It's a committee, and it may be a committee that starts to favor Bigsby if it looks like it did in week 1.
Well, it's matchup based, wouldn't you say? Like based on their opponent and how they think. If they got to go toe to toe, some sort of shootout, something like that. All right, ETN. And if it's more of a banger, slow it down. Run the rock. That's where Tank comes in.
And this week, it's a banger. Cleveland coming to town. So yeah, and I think that also we just have to look at merit. And if right now, as of week 1, Tank Bigsby's the best running back in this backfield.
Yeah, and well, there you have it. Any other running backs we want to briefly?
Yeah, we just want to touch on. We did see Bucky Irving look good at the end of the game. I think you're going to see him get more early down work. Justice Hill getting half the snaps and one of the favorite targets for Lamar Jackson. As this offensive line is gelling, you may see more of that. Alexander Mattison also with that passing down role looking good in the open field. And Cecil, I'll just toss it back to you and say the running back split in Denver in week 1. How much of an indicator is that? How much of a work in progress is this? Or am I getting too ahead of myself because it might be about hold on and shut them down?
I think you might be getting ahead of yourself because I got those guys on one of those two segments.
Stay tuned. Find out which one.
Right. We'll know later on the Audible, not that much later. Let's move to the wide receiver position, and Alec Pierce is a player we want to start with because that role can continue to grow. And, of course, fantasy GMs can go out to the waiver wire right now and pick him up.
Yeah. Isn't it fun, Cease, that there's an offense? And thank you, Shane Steichen, and thank you, Chris Ballard, for taking Anthony Richardson, and thank you, Colts, for seeing Anthony Richardson for what he is and letting him be what he is. Cease, we got playground football. We got you run that way, and I'm going to throw it real far that way, and we're going to make stuff happen. And even if someone's in my face, I'm going to throw it real far that way. Just breathtaking. And Alec Pierce, 2 big plays. It's a vertical passing game. He had a good summer, and you have to at least it's like a hot shooter at the craps table. Let it roll this week against a Green Bay team because Michael Pittman's going to get the short routes, and he's going to draw coverage up. Anthony Richardson, Jonathan Taylor, the deep passes are going to be there. And see, that's where I would say also, I'm just going to add in an AD Mitchell because AD Mitchell could have had 2 long touchdowns in this game. And we'll talk about Josh Downs at the end of the show. Which segment is he going to be on? Because the deep passing here is really exciting. It's one of the things in fantasy football that you can't underestimate the impact of. So this is really fun. Even though the Colts went into Houston and lost, I'm sorry, the Colts had Houston come into Indy and lost. It's a really, really exciting time to be a Colts fan, and it's an exciting time to have a Colts wide receiver on your roster, unless it's Michael Pittman.
Yeah, unless it's Pittman. But deep vertical passing, seems like even if Richardson went down, their backup could handle that.
Yeah, Flacco.
Wacko for Flacco. And I thought, honestly, we'd spend time with AD Mitchell, but it was more like, what if with Mitchell rather than with Pierce? I seen it.
It's now, yeah.
We saw it. Maybe a little further down your waiver wire list because I'm not investing much in Broncos fantasy players, but when you have 8 targets and 8 catches for Devaughn Vele, bring back the 1%ers, Bloom. Again, full report available at footballguys.com. But if you're getting 8 targets and 8 catches, the 1%er at least for Devaughn Vele. And others, let's talk about those others.
Yeah, the new Tim Patrick, and he's been getting buzz. This is a drumbeat, absolutely drumbeat player. See, when did the drumbeat start for Vele?
Oh, geez, almost rookie mini camp.
Right. Yeah. So PPR leagues, deep leagues, not a 1%er, probably the biggest percentage goes to Demarcus Robinson. We're waiting to hear more about this Puka Nacua thing. Knee, left the game, tried to come back in, left. Greg Rosenthal, and we love Greg. Greg's been around for a long, long time. Really cryptically, I think he was on a show with Evan Silva before the season started, and he said, don't take Puka Nacua. I can't say anything more than that. What did Greg know? And when did he know it? Speaking of Greg Dortch, if he's out there, especially in PPR leagues, I think you're going to see him lead this team in catches and yards more than people want. Although
How
Marvin
can he be
Harrison,
out there? He was like the top fantasy buzzed player of all.
right?
Everyone's talking about Greg Dortch. He's out there?
He shouldn't be, but in these public leagues with 4 or 5 bench spots, I look at Yahoo, I look for under 60%, and he met that. Jalen McMillan is more of a guy to hold because if Mike Evans or if Chris Godwin missed time, especially Godwin, because McMillan would work in the slot.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Yes. And let's mention Wan'Dale Robinson and all the targets he's getting. So if the deep passing's not there, Wan'Dale Robinson keeps getting 12 targets, and Daniel Jones only is throwing short, then I know that Malik Neighbor said, I don't know what was going on back there. Well, what was going on back there is a lot of short passes to Wan'Dale Robinson.
Yeah, and you could say, okay, if defenses pay attention to Malik Neighbors, more attention, then that opens it up for other players out there. And so you respond to that. As we move to the tight end position, this is the one we got to take some time with, quite a
Yes.
bit of time, because people need help and there's help out there. Starting with Thursday night, we got to go all the way back almost a week ago. Isaiah Likely. I loved his game in college. The Mark Andrew fantasy GMs are just scrambling right now. But if Isaiah Likely is out there, you sure as shut your
Yeah.
mouth, get him.
Yeah.
And sorry, Joe. Now YouTube probably demonetized this video, but either way, like it's Isaiah Likely at the top of the tight end list.
And this is a 50+% guy, partially because you're going to get him for the whole season, partially because tight end, the deepest year ever at tight end. Well, it was on paper and it didn't play out that way. Interesting how the hive mind, you saw the hive mind for fantasy football. No tight ends going off the board until the late 3rd round in most drafts, sometimes even the 4th round. You're wondering, like, geez, that's the cheapest the number 1 tight end has been in a long time. I know scoring was down, but geez. The hive mind got this one right, at least for week 1. And I don't know that it's going to stay like this for Likely. Okay. Simply because Mark Andrews was double covered, bracketed, given a lot of attention. And I don't think we should say this happened because Mark Andrews is washed up. But
Right.
so don't expect this to be the new norm for Likely. But at the same time, do know that because we're going to talk about some other names at tight end, and it's bleak. So it's just supply and demand, and there's going to be a lot of demand for Isaiah Likely if he wasn't drafted, and your supply of fantasy football waiver wire bucks, it's for players like Isaiah Likely.
Yeah, it's for players like Likely, but there are others at this position of need. Bloom, let's start that others
Yeah.
list.
My favorite guy is Tucker Kraft, clearly the number 1 tight end for the Packers, but who's the quarterback? So right at the time you need, I still would prioritize Kraft and know that it might be frustrating to start him until Jordan Love is back 3 to 6 weeks. Foster Moreau got the highest snap count, got the targets, got one of the touchdowns. Juwan Johnson got one too. Great to see this as Moreau beating cancer. The Saints guaranteeing his contract while he was going through beating cancer. And he's a good 2-way tight end, LSU guy. Colby Parkinson, and maybe Colby Parkinson should be higher, or maybe Colby Parkinson's the answer if Likely isn't out there because of this Puka Nacua injury. And Jordan Akins, I don't love trusting Deshaun Watson when I set my lineup. But Jordan Akins is going to replace David Njoku. Njoku is getting targets. Akins is a good receiving tight end. And you just know that Deshaun Watson's not going to stretch the field. Deshaun Watson's not going to hang tough in the pocket. And Jordan Akins sees at this point, you get 6-8 points out of your tight end in a PPR league. You'll take that. I think Jordan Akins can do that.
Yeah, we shall see as we get to the moment of the show. Now, this show's a little different. One, it's on Monday. Two, we're not going through as thoroughly as Bloom's list normally does. So we
Subscribe.
appreciate y'all for
Yeah.
our changes here. Again, doing it on Monday, getting it out hot and fresh for you here. So subscribe. You'll get Bloom's list. You'll get all the percentages, swing your sword, all those sorts of things. But this one, I might have to take one for the team, Bloom. Do you know why?
Because your voice is a little ragged and you're going
My
to blow a vocal cord.
my buddy had I don't know, party for the CU game. There wasn't much of a party. Let me say that for CU Nebraska on
Ugh.
Saturday. And I think I got hotboxed in his garage
Mm.
because it's like cigars, of course, it's Colorado. Sorry, Joe's, probably some other
Rocky
smoke
Mountain
going around.
High.
Exactly, but cigars, and like Avery can't stand when I smoke cigars. My youngest daughter, she's just like, it's terrible. It's terrible. You stink. Like, so I'm like, okay, maybe this is my payment for smoking a
You need to
stogie.
shut down those cigars.
Watching Dion get his ass kicked by Matt Rule.
Yeah.
Like, that wasn't great. But as I do this, Bloom, as you all do it with me, maybe you've got a messed up throat, right? Maybe I need to be quiet, right? Because you're in the office. You don't know. Maybe you're in the park and you don't want to be too loud. Either way, we're going to keep doing this part of the show. So everyone, reach out and say it with me. It's time to cue the Chuck D. That wasn't too bad.
Not too bad. We're queuing the Chuck D on Deshaun Watson. Really, I mean, on principle. Will Levis, on principle. Probably Jaylen Warren, even though he's going to get more work. It's a three-headed backfield. It's not going to be an exciting offense. Chuba Hubbard. Hey, Miles Sanders is back. This is a terrible offense. Rico Dowdle, ceiling game. This is the best game script you could hope for. Dowdle didn't do anything. Gus Edwards. Hey, what are we waiting for now with J.K. Dobbins? How long until Kamani Vidal is getting carries ahead of him? Curtis Samuel, the odd man out in Buffalo. That didn't exactly work out. Jonnu Smith. Okay, this is one I'm going to take the L.
Whoa,
my God.
Wait.
Just Jonnu Smith, barely getting touches, barely getting snaps, and not the primary tight end. He's only in like 3 wide receiver sets, and they're not really prioritizing him. Even Luke Musgrave, again, if we're kind of tentative about Tucker Kraft because of the quarterback. Luke Musgrave, an outstanding. I should add, by the way, speaking of second round tight ends, Luke Schoonmaker is a guy just to look at, depending on what happens with Jake Ferguson. So yeah, Luke Musgrave, I don't see any reason to hold on to him. And look again in the waiver wire up down column, I'll add in my text some more specifics about this cease. But is it time to shut down Javonte Williams?
Or is it time to hold on for one more day because Javonte's not done yet, although it's trending a little bit that way. It's one game, but they need to run the ball more to set up the young quarterback. Jaleel McLaughlin needs more touches, better designed passes out of the backfield. So both of those Broncos backs, Bloom, I'm holding on stubbornly.
Yeah. Depending on how deep your rosters are, maybe Daniel Jones is a hold on to see what he can do against Washington. Jordan Love is the toughest call about the hold ons. And it depends, right? If your league is the kind of league where Sam Darnold and Baker Mayfield and Geno Smith were out there, well, then I probably would drop Jordan Love because I don't know if he'll get picked up, and there's a fat waiver wire. The upside, if you have to wait for 5 or 6 weeks, it depends on the length of your bench. Let's just say there's a lot of variables, and reach out to me on Twitter X if you want to look at your specific case. I think you probably err on the side of holding on to Jordan Love unless we're talking about 4 or 5 bench spots and a very thick waiver wire. Raheem Mostert's a hold on. Devin Achane got a little banged up at the end of the game last night or yesterday afternoon. So this is something to watch. That's why Jalen Wright is a hold on. Hey, wasn't Devin Achane a healthy scratch early on last year? Mm-hmm. So Josh Downs is absolutely a hold on. Remember who Anthony Richardson had the best chemistry with last year? A lot of reports before Josh Downs went down with that ankle injury this year. So no, I am not going to let go of Josh Downs.
We're not going to let go of you. A new Monday waiver wire show, and that's it for this program. But check out footballguys.com if you want Bloom's full list with all the percentages and everything else. Subscribe to it, and that's how you support the show.
Yeah.
So we appreciate you all for doing just that. He's Sigmund Bloom. You follow him on Twitter X at Sigmund Bloom. I'm at Cecil Lammey. The show's at The Audible, saying thanks for watching. Stay tuned. Watch these other videos. And as always, did you grab your nipples? They're not there. The shows aren't there. They're over here, wherever they are.
My eyes are up here. The waiver wire pickups are up here.
Stay frosty, everybody.